Howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. So now we are doing an official live practice where we want to jump into talking about some of the magic that we've been working on lately, as well as performing some magic for you. So first and foremost, you can see behind me I have the Magic Beyond Imagination poster. I also have round two. I just went and seen them again, and I got another poster. It's different this time because it's a different guy. So it's still Magic Beyond Imagination, but it's a different person. So we want to start off with a little bit of switcheroo magic, right? So we have poker chips that we are magically going to switch places. Now, of course, I know what you're thinking. They're both black, right? So I can't really... it's not impressive. So what we're going to do here for you is we're actually going to, we're going to change them, magically change them. That's a green and yellow. Was that too quick for you? So we're going to turn them back to black. Okay. Now obviously I've already switched them because now you have green and black. Well, that's yellow and black there. That's okay. So if we switch them now, we've got the color. Now we've got green and black. Perfect. That's going to really work out for you. So obviously you got to have a green one and a yellow one in order to make that work. Now if you're not a fan of green and yellow, that's fine. We can use the blue one and the red one. And those are my magical poker chips. Hope you enjoyed. So I've performed that trick multiple times for the same people as well as for different people. They absolutely love it. I love it. It's kind of it's becoming one of those novelty tricks online. It's fantastic. I think it's great. So that's definitely a place to start. But I want to do some breakdown, and I can't really do it in this particular video. We can talk about it in other videos, but it's something that people do online, so I don't really want to give that away. But I love it. It's great. And it doesn't really take too much to get into the position to perform it. Let's put it that way. Now, we did talk about doing the Magic Beyond Imagination Went to a Magic show. Went to it last year. I've been to a couple of magic shows recently. One was Chris Johnson. He's a magician here in New York. That was fantastic. I watched a kids show because he does library shows and school shows and stuff. We went over to the library to watch it. So that was great. I've just been working, so I haven't really been doing a lot of YouTube. So having an opportunity to communicate with you, conversate on the interwebs is great. As you can tell, my speech patterns are very repetitive and very rusty because I haven't really had an opportunity to have these types of conversations with myself. So there you go. Now there is one thing that I am missing that I need to figure out. Bring out the old trusty phone. And what that is I need to go to the interwebs here and bring up my live practice. But I need to do it without sound. That's the important part. Simply for the fact that, I get to heart. I'm going to heart my own video. Yay! Heart. And then we're going to also do the blank stare face, because why am I hearting my own video? Who knows? We checked the delay. We did a practice live. We checked the delay. We checked the tech version here. So now we've got good angles. We've got good sound. Everything seems to be working out. There's about a 20-second delay, so that's something to keep in mind. And now let's go ahead and say, hey! Exclamation points, send. So now the reason why I have that is because that is my ability to see if anybody is posting anything. Right now the only person watching is myself, and that's okay because this is a live practice. So really I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of performing on camera. Now the problem with doing that is there is the opportunity when you're doing live to mess up and to give away how tricks are done. And if you know how tricks are done, great. You can put it in the comment below. Obviously, be like, I know how you do that. Here's how you do it. Great. You know how to do it. I know how to do it. Now a bunch of other people know how to do it. And that's fine. Really what we're trying to do is we're just trying to have fun, and we're trying to entertain the masses. So now we have a card trick for you. And really what I'm trying to find out here is whether or not the camera angles are going to work, because you got to be able to see the card, and I don't really have the opportunity or the resources and ability to zoom in right now. So here's what we're going to do. Obviously these are the slow hands from I got it. It's there. It's in my head. I just can't seem to pronounce it at the moment. Keir Gomes, is that it? I do apologize. It's been too long since I've had to say his name. Either way, we've got the jokers here. Those are going to come back in handy. I could actually hand these to you and you can hold on to them, but you'll be able to see them right here the whole time. Now, just like with any great card trick, we're going to have you pick a card. So why don't we go ahead and pick the 3 of clubs. That's a good one to go with. Great. Now, we're going to have the card box here because, again, you're not here. So we're going to go through the cards just like so. And now, I'm going to try to see, I know your card's probably towards the center somewhere. And we basically just want to stop when we feel, either you feel like or I feel like we found your card. Looks like we have another card in there. That's okay. At this point, I can either put this in the box or I can put it in between these 2 cards. Now you're holding those cards. That's fine. We don't need that card. Oh, wait a second. We've just messed up the trick. We really have. Awesome. And we're live messing up the trick. That's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. But here's how you recover very quickly. So that's going to be that card, which is not the right card because we've messed up the trick. You know what? We're going to start over. Can we do that? Of course we can. So we're going to go back to this point. Obviously, you already know what's happening here. We're cutting to here, and we're going to go back to this point because we've got to recover, right? So how do you recover that? You can move on to a different trick. We're live. It doesn't matter. Who's watching this? Nobody. I can delete it. Nobody will ever see it. Ha ha ha. Pleasures of being by yourself. Okay. So your card is going to be... That's right. So your card was actually the 3 of clubs. Now that's going to go in between there. Great. You've already cut to the punchline. That's fine. Everybody knows this trick. That's great. Okay. But what do we do now? Since we've got rid of that card, that is your card. Now all we got to do is we've got to get another card, which is going to be the old 2 of spades. Now let's see if I can find your card. So obviously it's not a different color. It's not on top. It's not on bottom. You know what? I think we can do something special here. We can actually make your card appear over here. Very simply, they could turn it over and they can see that the card has changed magically to the 2. Now what's even better is that you can say, for this particular deck and the way that I have this set up, your original card is actually in your hand. It's been in your hand the entire time. Yeah, take a look right here. On the bicycle spoke. Again, that's what I was talking about as far as being able to see it and how close I would need to get. You can take my word for it. If you have the deck, you know. Right here in the spoke is the 3 of clubs. So that's my ending. But we messed up the trick. So awesome. Fantastic. I was over-explaining. The problem is that if you're going to do a trick, don't over-explain it if you're actually performing it, which is the mistake that I just made. And that's what these tests are for. So when we delete this, even if there's somebody on here watching, if somebody pops on and sees that we messed it up, that's only one person who, probably my wife, like, what's he doing? It's midnight. That's it. Other things to practice, you have the table so you can use it, Or if you're walking around, you want to be able to do certain things. For instance, practice this, but also you want to practice this. So that's using not one, but two hands. And we're still working on the left to get that. Well, actually, it's the right, which is interesting that my left is actually better, but more practice. Now you really want to get into this mode, which is two of these, which is fantastic, right? Now the real question is, can I do that? I cannot. So again, that's what these tests are for. So what I'd like to do, just talking it through, is I want to get to the point where I can do both of those one-handed cuts with both hands. So I'd start off with the Charlier, which is a fairly simple cut. In one hand, you're going to lift up the cards a little bit higher in the fingers. For anybody who is watching this who wants to learn a little bit of magic, this one-handed cardistry is going to give you an elevation, literally, in your hand. But something to keep in mind is, depending on what kind of magic you want to do, it comes down to this. So this is the big magician, right? The card spring. Okay, the problem with the card spring, as well as doing something like this maneuver, when you do the one-handed riffle, the problem with doing that move is it instantly puts you into another realm. So it's like, oh, well, this guy's clearly a card guy. He's going to be doing a trick. Still working on the table riffle. That's the next thing I'm practicing. Table riffle, and also working on the totally butchered clip shift. The fun part about the clip shift is that it doesn't matter how poorly you do it, because you're practicing it. Obviously, if you can perform the clip shift properly, no matter how bad you do it, it's actually still good. And here's why. It's such a difficult move to do that even if you can perform it, because you can only go up, right? You have to perform it well. Doing the clip shift, you show the card, which we got there. We got the 6 of spades. Wowzers. It's hard, right? So we've actually moved it to the top, which is the objective of the clip shift. So we're practicing clip shift, and we're at the point where we can perform it, just not well, because you can go into a dribble, or you can go into a turn, which masks the movement of hiding that card. Now, why are we giving this away? People teach it online, and I implore you to go see them instead of watching me mess it up, because it's a practice. I'm practicing, and you're just watching me practice. Show the card, drop cards, all the fun stuff. Mind you, and I've said this before, but obviously for anybody who would be watching this, I learned this move, or rather I tried to learn this move back when I first started practicing card magic, and I couldn't get the hang of it. And clearly I still can't. Obviously I'm doing a little bit better now than I did then, because then I could do nothing. But being able to successfully, which I love the fact that I can't do it at all on camera, even though I can at least perform it. I'm using the wrong words. I can't perform the clip shift. I can do it well enough to successfully complete it, but not in any meaningful way. Like that one right there was probably successful. But like I said, other people do this move and they do it way better than I do. But I don't feel like I'm teaching it to you as so much as just troubleshooting it in a way that you just have to practice it. But if you wanted to learn it, I can certainly point you in the direction of somebody who actually does it very well. I've seen other people who performed it, and it's a hard move. And so if you, like I skipped a few by going right to this. So I feel like if I could do that with both hands, that would be super duper impressive. But yeah, so doing one-handed, it sends a different message if you start doing stuff like this, because obviously they can see that you can manipulate cards. I clearly can't, because doing a one-handed revolution cut is apparently beyond me. But back to the idea that I started with, because now I'm rolling, and that's really what this. Again, I'm going to repeat myself for anybody who jumps on. This is a live practice, which means there's no script, there's no plan. This is me talking to the camera live and making mistakes and getting back into that familiar vibe of communicating with myself. I'm looking down over here, I'm looking over here, I'm looking like I got blinding light here. I'm checking my angles and my camera work to see if it's working, and really it's not really working for me because the angle that's down here is too bright, and then my straight on angle is too far away, and then my microphone is too sensitive, so it's rather loud. So like if I were to turn this up right now, so I'm watching myself on the actual live. I'm watching myself on OBS, and I want to count the delay here. So we're gonna start here with my finger up. So again, it's like 23 seconds, which is not terrible, but I'm not sure if I can even fix that. Which I feel like is kind of where it was, like I said before, about 20 seconds. So that's fine. And the volume, I have my phone all the way up with my earbud in my ear, and it's not terrible. Not terrible. But here's what I want to test. I'm going to test the spring. Now I'm going to wait to hear that. Even the riffles are a little loud. At least with my earbud, it's not deafening per se. I'm going to have to plug in my computer because apparently it's not plugged in, even though it is plugged in. Fascinating. How does that work? How does it go from plugged in? Here, let's see if we move it over to this one. Oh, there we go. Plugged in. Yay! Oh, wait, nope. Yes. Yay! It exited super battery. I have a super battery, people. I don't even know what that is, but it's a super battery. I cracked myself up. So, let's see. So, as far as fixing this, let's see if we can fix. I want to go into the settings. How do I go into settings? Configure video. I want my brightness to be down. Because I don't want the cards to be too bright, which they are very bright. But then I don't want it to be so dark that you can't really see anything. I can no longer... Oh, because it's in the background. Brightness is all the way down. Contrast? Ooh, nope, don't do that. Hue? Yuck. Definitely don't want to mess with that, do we? Saturation. Black and white or a lot of color. We don't want that. Sharpness, I want it to be extra sharp. Yeah, sharpness. Gamma. How's gamma going? Ooh, too much. Backlight. Apply. Let's see how that looks. Okay, I think I finally got through all of those, but it's still kind of light. Not sure if I like that or not. I have 2 people watching. Yay! One of them is me. Who's the other one? Shout out in the comments, whoever's watching. I want to see who's watching me. Who's watching? Who is? It's 12:30 at night, and I'm doing a live practice. So now let's go ahead and try this trick again, and hopefully we don't make a mistake. Mistake? Whatever that is. Anyway, okay, so today we've got the slow hands. We've got the jokers here, but we're not going to need those. But if you want, you can hang on to those right there. Keep an eye on those. They're going to come in handy later. Okay. Now we're just going to go with a card here. Yeah, I think we're going to go with... the card right here in the middle. That's the 3 of clubs. Just in case you missed it, that's the 3 of clubs. Now we're going to turn down this because that's going to mess with me. Because I'm hearing my self-talk, and I like listening to myself talk, but that's not going to work for this trick. So as I go through the cards, I'm going to get a feel for your card. Now we know it's somewhere towards the middle, but that's okay. But all I want you to do is if you take your little finger and I want you to just tell me to stop whenever you think I'm getting close to your card. Okay, it looks like we may have left in another card. Just make sure that that's not your card. That is actually your card. So apparently you've selected the only card. Whew, that's weird. You selected the only card that is different. So we don't want that card. We want to go with a different card. Let's go with the 2 of spades. 2 of spades is good. I like that. 2 of spades, 2 of spades. Since we have the table, we're going to use it. I just want to make sure that there is no other cards that's a different back. That's fine. Okay, so there's no other cards that's a different back. And let's see if we can find your card based on feel alone. And you know what? I'm just really curious. Let's go ahead and take a look at this card. Ooh, that's the 2. That is the 2 of spades. That's not the right card. That's the other card. That's not going to work for us. We need to find your original card. But what if I were to tell you that the original card was actually in your hand the whole time? Yeah, take a closer look at the jokers. This particular joker has something special sticking right in the spoke. And I'm a little bit too far away, but that spoke actually has a 3 of clubs in it. There you have it. So that's a beautiful trick. I actually totally messed it up earlier, but I reset it while we were talking, and then I performed it for real. And now here's the fun part. I can actually take these, put them into the box, like so, and now we can perform another one of my all-time favorite tricks. I can follow up that as my opener, and then I can go into another trick. Now let's try a different card. This one is not going to be a different color back, which is great. It's going to be the 10. Yeah, that's going to be the 10. So I want you to memorize that card. You got it? Okay, perfect. Now all I need you to do is I need you to put that card face up into the pack. That's it. Put it face up into the pack. Now we're going to mix up the cards just like so. Oh, your card isn't the 6 of diamonds. That's fine. Okay. Now all I've got to do is I've got to go through the cards. You had the 10 of spades, right? 10 of spades. Let's see if we can find your card. Just think of your card. Think of your card. Did you see your card in there? No, that was the backs? Okay, go ahead and look at the fronts. Those are the fronts of the cards. Do you see your card at all in there? No. That's because we've messed up the trick again. How could we mess up the trick again? Terrible. Oh, okay. That's what these tests are for, as the Grinch would say, which is one of my all-time favorite sayings, because that's why this is a live practice. So here we go. We're going to do it again. We're going to have a card selected from the center. Perfect. I'm not even going to look at it this time because it's better that way. Now, while you're looking at the card, I give the cards a shuffle. That way the mix is not the same order. So you know that I didn't do anything fancy, right? Now we're going to take your card. I still haven't seen your card. I didn't even show the camera. So let me go ahead and look away. You take a look at your card. That was a little flashy-roo because that's going to give away the trick. If you didn't see what happened, well, I'm better than I thought. Because now we're going to spread through the cards very nicely, very fancily, right? And your card should be somewhere. And it is. If you can see, I'm a little bit far away there. It's actually better if we give it a little bit of a cut and do that again. Now we're going to cut it, and now it looks even better when you spread out the cards and you see that your 9 of clubs is in the middle. Now this is something that I love. Ooh, who's commenting? Fantastic. Terry Hopper, thank you for joining. This is just for funsies, right? So I'm actually going to walk through this trick because this is something that can be done live that people won't necessarily see. And you can do it all standing up. So, perfect. We got a 20-second delay, so we should be seeing that soon. Now we're going to start the trick here. Everything is normal. Everything starts out normal, no stack, no nothing fancy. And we're going to walk through the entire trick, and then we're going to tell you what it's called at the end. Maybe you already know. So having a card selected any way you want. You can even show them face up, which is an Alex Pandrea thing, which is great. You can even go into this trick by, let's say they want the King of Hearts, right? The King of Hearts is nice. And the reason why the King of Hearts is nice because I keep it very close to myself. I actually cut it to the bottom. Perfect. That's closer to you, not myself, because it's your card, right? So they're going to look at the card. You don't even need to see the card. You can perform this trick any way you want. While they're looking at the card, while they're memorizing the card, you're going to shuffle the deck. Okay, and as you shuffle the deck, you're going to retain one card, and you're going to flip it over in your hand. And you're doing this rather quickly, and you get that card turned over. There it is. Okay, roll credits. Now, since their card is face down, you're not going to see it. Here's the subtlety. This is the top of the deck where all of the cards are face down. There's a card face down on the bottom, face up rather, so it's the back of the card on both sides. But here's the subtlety. They're looking at their card. You've already shuffled. Nothing is happening. When you lift up the cards, you're going to hold it up like this and just say, go ahead and put it face down into the pack so I can't see it. Don't flash the bottom like I did in the performance, but again, they might not be looking for that. They might, because they see their card. You know, you're not going to look. You're going to look away, have them push it in. That's fine. They're not even going to see any of that. Now, there's two ways to handle this because you can shuffle the cards. You just don't want to flash their card, so you block shuffle the middle so you're not going to see it. You can even mess up the cards like this and pull out a card and say, is that your card? No, that's fine. Just put it back in there. If you drop some cards or do whatever, even better. Okay. Otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to have that card on the bottom and you're going to execute a turnover with that last, which is going to retain the card in your hand and then just turn it over. Looks something like this. Retained in your hand, and then you're just going to pat the deck and that's going to put it on top. Perfect. You're done. That's the turnover card. Now you can reveal their card however you want, like that. Beautiful. It's there. So that's the turnover card. It's a really nice walk around trick. Now, comparatively, it's a turned over card trick, which means when you're done, their card is face up in the pack. Is it as good as Triumph? No, it's not. But it's a great trick that you can open with, or it's a great trick that you can do on the fly that requires no setup, no turning. I mean, except for turning over the card while you're shuffling, which offers a little bit of a subtlety. It creates its own misdirection because you're having them commit their card to memory, and while they're doing that, you're flipping over the card to prepare the setup, and then you're nonchalantly just taking a step back from the magic, which allows you to turn the card over, the deck over here, get in there, and I'm going through it again just for that repetitive nature. You can easily turn this way, if your audience is here, turn this way, point at something, do whatever, and that gives you cover to do that. So, and then, this is what I really love about the fact that it's just like any great card trick, at the end, the magic is already done for you. So now you can easily go back into a reveal, but the magic's already done because you're already ahead. And what I like about it is, depending on your style, just like I did with the Chicago opener, if you were here for that, Terry, I basically played it off like, oh, I still have a random card in here. Let's get rid of that. Okay? And then it ends up being the switch card, and their card can be revealed later from the pocket if you want to retain it, whatever card they have. What I also like about doing that is that it gives you an out, which I love having an out. That's very important for my style of magic because I make mistakes. So it's nice to have outs. And that turnover card allows you to make a mistake and pretend, oh, there's a flipped over card. It's not your card. That's fine. Doesn't matter because that's not the premise of the trick anyway. And then when you do the reveal, boom, you flipped over their card. Same idea as impromptu invisible deck idea, if you want to call it the turnover card. So it's a nice little trick to start with. Now, I don't know if I should be doing this cardistry while I'm talking, if it's too much. What's your thoughts, Terry? Checking my phone now because I have a viewer. Fantastic. Not sure why I have grids on my end. You don't have it on your end, which is good. So there's a little bit of that, a little bit of this table stuff. Talking about practicing one-handed cuts. I'm not sure if you were here for that, Terry. I'm checking this just in case you do comment, but then I'm moving on in live, and we'll jump back and forth. Depending on your type of magic, you can practice the cardistry and the one-handed cuts, the revolution cut, the swivel cut. You can do fancy, if I can even pull off a triangle. Ooh, there you are. I'm familiar with the ambitious card and dynamite shot. So the good and bad thing, in my opinion, about ambitious card, and this is what other people have said as well, but I've noticed this, is that every time I sit down to practice any sort of magic, first and foremost, ambitious card is all of them. For the most part, anything can become the ambitious card, but I also, whatever I happen to be practicing, just can be added to it. So it's good and bad in the sense that there is, back to that multiple out, that multiple options idea, it can be applied to anything, but you really have to know where to stop, and my brain doesn't. So that's good stuff. We have a challenge. How many Charliers can I do in a minute? Okay, well, I'm not sure, so let's go ahead and try that. I was going to point out, so the more cardistry-based stuff that you do, the more high level it is. It tends to become like, if you want to go that path, then are you a professional cardist in the eyes of your audience, or are you somebody who makes mistakes and is lackadaisical about it when you perform your magic, more like a Leonard Green style? Oop, that was something else. And I also throw in there, besides the Charlier cut, I also do something of a, if I can remember what it's called at the moment, I should know, it's basic cut when my hand's starting to cramp up, so I've lost count, but if you're following along, the endurance, excuse me, I go into this style of cut, which is not the Charlier, it's the grab cut, so messing up my count here. It's a what do you call it? My brain is not working. It's a style of cut. Maybe you know what it is. I can't remember at the moment. It's been a while. We're still kind of going strong. See, what was... Oh, yes. Love the Charlier cut. One is... How many Charlier cuts you do in a minute? So, I wouldn't consider this a very good display of Charlier cuts. Nope. See, look at that. I'm starting to get... I should have brought some water in. But I don't know. Do you agree about what I was saying with the course that if you want to take, if you're performing magic, you can either be a specialist in the eyes of your audience, or you're more of that performance-based, like, oh, I dropped cards, I made mistakes, and then you made something magical happen. You can't really do both in the eyes of the audience. So I'm curious, which one do you consider yourself? Do you perform anything for friends or family, or out in public? And do you focus on the skill side, the mechanics of it, or do you kind of just play around with it and make mistakes and do different things? I think we're well over a minute. Sorry, I get the throat thing. Cards. Cards are fun. Another thing I enjoy is the different types of riffles. I was saying earlier that I've been seeing this one. It's become fairly popular because a lot of people like the card skills, the card mechanic skills and poker skills and stuff. So I have a couple of tricks that I've learned that require the table cut and shuffle and mix and stuff, but they've been doing the table riffle. And so not a good representation, but that's something I've been practicing, is doing that table style riffle. So doing the bridge and letting go, it looks like a poorly done riffle, which I guess is in the right direction. I'm actually curious, the dynamite shot, I might have to look up to know exactly. I know that there's this. I don't think that's the dynamite. I do this fancy little thing. I think I learned it from Chris Ramsey. I might have to. I might have reached my limit with the talking thing. But yeah, so there's this one over to here, the spin. Now I can't quite perform it here, but you got to get a nice spin on it. You open up your hand to bring this back very quickly at the same time to shoot this card to the second position. Now, as long as you can do that quickly enough with the shot, I've actually got the Jack of Diamonds in the second position. So that's something that I learned from Chris Ramsey. Let's take a quick look here. Part of the magic is how the magician recover from a mistake. See, that's beautiful. I love that. Because that's really part of that mystery, because it creates separation between the effect and the reveal, which is so important, because I have seen people do it successfully and I've seen people do it not so successfully. But the important thing is that some magicians have a zero recovery policy, which is, I'm just a guy having fun performing, move on or do whatever, move into a different trick. Like, well, I think even David Copperfield has done that, where he made a mistake and he just he's like, anyway, now we all know how to do that, and then just kind of went on. And that kind of really builds on that idea for that type of thing. And that's why I've said this for so long, and I've tried to work on it, which is part of being a performer is performing to that point where no matter how much you practice the trick, you should be able to go up and have a conversation and perform something, a speech, a small speech, a paragraph, something in front of people where there's a dynamic, I believe that's the right word, where there's a back and forth, there's an exchange, an interaction, but there has to be moving parts. Because if you get stuck into a script, if something happens, like a train, you're going down the path on the train. If something happens, you get derailed. There's no other option. You either go from point A to point B. You don't go around. You don't do it. If something lands in the track, you got to stop. So that's why script work can be problematic. It's not like in the movies where if you mess up, or like when I'm doing regular videos, I can stop and start over. If I'm doing live, you have to be able to think on your feet, and you have to be able to keep moving forward. So, great point there is that you have to be comfortable enough to keep going and act like nothing happened, because they don't care. A lot of the times they don't even know if you made a mistake. So, back to this idea of shooting that over here, giving it a little bit of a spin while you grab the card here, and again, I did it pretty well the first time. Shooting it to the second position, if you can get it under there fast enough while you shoot it, this is going to distract them. Showing this, they're not going to know it's the second card. Now you're set up for a lift or something like that. But that's actually not the version I do. The version I do shoots the card over to here, do the Charlier, or even better, Revolution Cut, opens up the hand, shoot the card into the center. Now you have a messed up deck. You've got the card into the center of the deck. You can execute any number of false cuts, retrievals, anything that you want, because you can retain anything into that messed up deck, especially if it's a jogged situation. Now you can easily get your thumb in the back. I like to do the double undercut. Now you're in a position, you're so far ahead, you've got their card controlled. I love it. So that can be done probably from any number of situations. You can do the hot shot over to here. Now you're already in a split deck situation, and if you did it correctly, you reveal this card over here, shooting the card back, you've actually now put the deck back in the same order. This is clearly in the middle of the pack. Clearly there. We're going to attempt this control. Now you've put yourself in a position where their card is once again, boom, on top. But is it really on top? Because you put their card back into the center and it's still on top. Gives you a little bit more options, and it lets you use that fancy one-handed cut. And I would probably stay away from the swivel cut for that, because it cuts it in the opposite direction. So revolution cut is fine because it gives you this opening that you really want to grab the card, and leaves the deck messed up enough to get a thumb break in the back right before you execute a double undercut. Perfect. You don't have to readjust. You don't have to do anything. You can, however, like I said, I'm not sure if the dynamite shot is done from the hand, but you've already, this is right from this position. All you're doing is readjusting some fingers, shooting the top card over. You can go into a revolution while you're spinning. Two things are happening at once. Shooting back into the pack, squaring everything up, and immediately executing a double undercut. What's nice about it is that you can actually control it to the top or the bottom depending on where you grab it at. Now, if you don't like that method, you can always keep their card out, go for the other control that I just did that I'm not 100% on, or you can even control it to the top a different way, giving yourself even more options. As we grab it from above the screen, now it's on top of the deck. Another Chris Ramsey option, if you enjoy that. So going into some ambitious card, I've played with that so much. And another thing, just to keep going into the tricks that I enjoy, is I end my ambitious card with this one. I've got 52 or so cards here. That's not gonna, we're gonna try to narrow it down. So if we've done our job correctly, we've actually put your card into one of these 9 cards. Now we have to actually remember what your card is. So not only, if we even had a card selected, yep, that's what it was. Okay, so not only have we moved your card from the pack to a stack, but now we have to spell out your card. And I don't know what it is, so so this can be done. And this is another topic that is very near and dear to me. I have practiced a lot of tricks that can be done in the spectator's hand. They can do this portion all in their own hands, which is great. You can even set up the deck, and you can actually have them do this portion after you've mixed up the deck and done everything. This is your final phase. You can give them the deck and just have them count out 3 piles, which is perfect. Okay, and then so you got 3 piles, 1, 2, 3, and however you want to do it. Perfect. So you still got 9 cards. That's great. That's going to work out. Now they've got to count out their card. They have it in their hand, and now obviously we know the card is the 5 of diamonds, so that's going to be FIVE OF, and this is my magic spell, especially if you want to go into that supernatural magical powers-esque thing, and it's DIAMONDS. That's the 7 of diamonds. Wait a second. It wasn't the 7 of diamonds, right? The 5 of diamonds? Okay. Let's see if I can find it with a little bit of magic. MAGI, and beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I like to actually, you can look at this card or you can set it face down. You show them all of these cards. If you have the table space, you can actually give them the deck itself that they've had, that they set on their side. You haven't touched it. One face down card, and that's going to be their 5 of diamonds, which I like leaving that until the ending for the reveal, because it gives you this moment where they see all of the color and they just see the one face down card. So it couldn't possibly be the one card that you found out of the whole deck of cards. And that's the magic spell, and I love that trick. And the reason why I love the trick so much is because it can work on so many different levels, so many options for it. You just have to get into the right situation. It can be done in the spectator's hand, especially if you have a group of interactive people who are going to be able to follow two steps, really, and they have to be able to spell. But it also allows you, here's a big one, big, so big, if you're going to do this trick for a specific person, if it's a birthday party, if you want to break out this magic for a birthday person, 5-letter word, and that could be the magic word. So whatever word you decide on in your head, if their name is 5 letters, perfect. If they've got a nickname that's 5 letters, perfect. You're done. Now you can make the magic happen by using their name. Their name unlocks the puzzle, the code. Boom. So keep that in mind. If that's something that you want to use, I can actually walk you through it. Because I love the trick so much, and it can be done with a card with a normal deck of cards, which is another topic. Right now I don't have it. Obviously, I performed the Chicago opener. That's the only thing about this deck that is a little bit different that I utilized. So I start with the Chicago opener. It's a good place to start, which allows me to do a little bit of interesting stuff. Basically, it takes all of the special cards and gets rid of them right at the beginning. So I do the trick, boom, gone. Now the deck is 100% natural, which I love because there's nothing for them to see. And that's what really allows the magic to continue, because you just performed a trick with a special card. Now they're looking for magic. There's a trick in there somewhere, and you're like, well, that's the point. These are tricks. Perfect. So now you've flipped the script on them, and now they're looking for something special to happen that isn't going to happen, because now it's all natural. So that's another option for you. And I have 2 people watching besides myself, because I like to watch myself. So I've got myself watching and 2 other people. So Terry is still here, and whoever else jumped on, why don't you go ahead and drop a comment, shout out, just see who's watching. We're doing some magic, and we're kind of jumping around because we have a 20-second delay roughly on the comments as well as where we are in the conversation, and I'm trying to keep those 2 points tied together. We're talking about a lot of different ideas. So gimmicked versus non-gimmicked, skill versus, and that goes back to that idea of making mistakes as another idea as a magician, is do you like your magic to work for you, or do you like to put in the effort for it to do a lot of sleight of hand based stuff? Because you can do tricks that are setup tricks, which if you're going to do some tricks, you can actually do, if you're going to do setup tricks, obviously you want to have something like a deck prepared and start like the Chicago opener, but you also want to have setup tricks that can be done quickly on the fly. And I'll go into another trick that I absolutely love, and I've performed this recently, and there really isn't much to it, because again, I can hand this deck to my spectator. They can shuffle it however they want. If they've got shuffling skills, great. This gives them a moment to shine. They've done great. Whenever they're done, perfect. I get the deck back, and I'm going to pick out 2 cards, and basically what these are going to do is it's going to be kind of like a prediction trick. You're going to do the magic, and we're going to see if we can, whatever word you want to use, we can sync up, we can become a team, a dynamic duo. Let's see if I can be your assistant and you can do the magic. So we're going to go with, say, this card. And I just like to spread out the cards in such a way that I can see all of them. And this is part of your pattern. I want to be able to see as many cards as possible so that I can get a feel for as many of them at a time. Perfect. Okay. So now You give the cards back to them, and they're going to deal out cards one at a time. Who's going on here? That's exactly right. If you have a strong skill set, what happens if you grab your deck and there's, like we talked about earlier, what if you forgot to set it up, or what if you drop something or something happens? You should be able to flow into tricks that require no setup. Like I said, the turnover card, boom, go right into that perfect setup. There's no messing around. You can perform those tricks with nothing except for the deck of cards. Somebody pulls out their deck of cards and says, okay, Magic Man, show me what you got. Boom, you've got magic for him. This goes into something that was, I don't remember exactly, it might have been Darren Brown or something. It was a card guy. He's known for cards. And somebody said, hey, do some coin magic. And he's there performing card magic. And he's like, okay, stellar coin trick. Does one coin trick for him, tosses the coin back, and they're all blown away, like, oh, he just did on the fly, did a coin trick, fantastic. And now he goes right back into his cards because he's now regained the power in that situation, because they didn't stump him, they didn't mess him up, they didn't just mess up the flow of what he's doing. He went right into the magic. So now they're gonna, just as I'm gonna do here, they can actually throw down as many cards as they want, but we don't want them to go over half because we don't want to be here all day, right? So now they have, okay, my first prediction, they can stop at any point. They can, because they have the cards, they can stop at any point. I put my card, so I got the 5 of hearts. They can drop the cards on top. Beautiful. They're going to pick up the cards, and they're going to do it again. And they can put 10 cards down. They just don't want to get to the middle again because we've got our other card in there. We're going to put our other one down. That's going to be the 5. We got pairs, right? The 5s. I don't know how it worked out that way. That's just what happened. Now they can give the deck a cut if they want. Whatever they want to do at this point, they can do it. Perfect. They can spread out the cards if they want. All they've got to do is they've got to find the card that they stopped on. This is where they stopped. I just put my card in there as a placeholder. And what should have happened, if we are synced up, or if we're a perfect dynamic duo, and if we've got the power of friendship, we now have 4 of a kind. 4 5s. Beautiful. It's a perfect match. Magic, right? So there is that trick. It just happened. It just happened before your eyes. If you know what I did, fantastic. That's what we're here to talk about. So there's still 3 people watching. We got Terry going on here. This is another impromptu trick with a shuffle deck of cards, which I love because we were just talking about that. What if the spectator wants to shuffle the deck? Here you go. Shuffle the deck. This trick is going to be entirely done in your hands. Now what's even better about the way that this worked out, don't even know how that happened, we now have a 4 of a kind. A 4 of a kind. What does that mean? It means that we're going to do a 4 of a kind trick. Because why not? So if impromptu, it was unexpected, they shuffled the cards. I shuffled the cards, but it was a real shuffle. Now what you can do goes into another one of my favorite tricks. Just like so. They can pick a pile. They can either pick right or left. Let's say they're going to pick the middle. So just for time's sake, we're going to get rid of certain cards. Beautiful. Okay. Right or left. Okay. Perfect. So now we're down to these cards here, and we're just going to deal out the cards. Again, this is for time's sake. This can be performed a dozen different ways. I just wanted to get the idea out there. 4 of a kind trick. They've selected all of the positions of the card. They decided where things were going to go. That's one option for this particular trick. all 5s are right there. There's some extra cards, but they're just random cards. That's fine. A better way to perform that, because again, that wasn't a performance-based thing. That was the idea that we could just get that trick done. So we're definitely not going to do that this time. This time, we're going to do it the right way. Now we've got 4. Perfect. They can pick anywhere. Let's say they want to go with this one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is a special way to shuffle the cards to make sure that their cards are exactly where they should be if they have, and I always like using the word tuned with the deck, especially if you want to go with that seance style, that spiritualism, the idea that this is a magic item that they have to. I've practiced with these cards, for a while, but if I picked up a fresh deck of cards that they gave me, then I can do this to see if I'm in tune with the cards. And I think I'm not, because I've messed up the trick. Somewhere along the way, we lost a 5. But we've decided to pick up an ace. Wherever the other 5 is, we've lost it. It's gone. For real. And we're live. See, look at that. It's way in there. It's mixed in there. Somehow that happens. And that does happen, but, a 3 of a kind is fine too, I guess. But yeah. So, done properly, that works out pretty good. So that's a 4 of a kind trick that can be done. Not really sure what the name of it is, but when I learned it, it was called Once in a Blue Moon, which again is another trick that can be done in the spectator's hand. And it was done, I was about to say a word that I've been trying to stay away from, organically. I know that in the Magic Circle they want us to stay away from using that just because it's overused, and I agree. Anytime something is overused, it then takes on too many definitions and then you get lost. Either way, Once in a Blue Moon, it's a perfect tie-in, and it's a great encapsulating line, because once they perform this, before they've even done the reveal, you can say, wait a minute, hold on, thought you were helping me mix up the cards. There's something that has happened. This only happens once in a blue moon, and then you would do the reveal and you're like, whoa. And I love this line. One of my favorites for a lot of the ending tricks that I do is, your magic is too strong for me. That's to me anyway. I like doing that, especially if it's kids and whatnot. The performance that I've done with kids, I said that, your magic's too strong for me. I actually do that with, if I can find it quickly, I've put all my magic stuff in a box here, but it's not organized very well. I'd like to be able to organize it so that I could grab stuff quickly. Did I take it out already? Oh, here it is. Okay. So we're going to do a little fancy setup. Fancy setup, right? If I can find the other thing here. See if any comments. So this is the... Yeah, here we go. I don't have any sleeves right now, but typically I'd have this stuffed up my sleeve on purpose, because it's one of those misdirection things. I can do the vanishing silk handkerchief. I can do that, and I've had people say, you put it up your sleeve. I'm like, great, you figured it out. I take off the sleeves and do it again. So that's fine. So this is a combination of tricks that I'll do. Have a card selected. Beautiful. Okay. Then what we need to do is have the card lost into the pack. Very nice. And we place the deck inside the silk. It's been a while since, and I'm performing this on the fly, so if I don't do very well, don't blame me. So then, you can see the cards are in the silk, and this is a magic card through handkerchief, I can magically make your card go through the pack. The 10 of diamonds, which was your card. Again, I'm going through this rather quickly, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I love performing this like this at the end because it lets the silk fall down. And I have a video on this that you guys can go check out if you wanted to. Might have to update it, but I like doing this because a lot of the kids were like, "Oh yeah, I got a hole in it," and I'm like, you can see it blossoming, and you can pull this out and you can show the whole silk, which is beautiful. Now at this point, you can actually have them, depending on the group, the setting, you can have them check the card, however you want to do it. Put the card back into the deck. Beautiful. And this is going back into what Terry was talking about, practicing the ambitious card. This is one that I haven't really perfected yet. We've changed the card, and then we've changed it into the 10. We're going to put it back into the pack. And I like making the sound effect. It pops back to the top. Beautiful, right? Now, here's the fun part. You can actually have them shuffle, flash, that's okay. You can have them shuffle at this point while they're shuffling. You say, it's a lot easier when you have your card. Beautiful. Here, why don't you hold on to that for me? And while you're holding on to that, think about your card. You can close your eyes if you want to. That's fine. You got it memorized. We've been working with it for a while. Perfect. And here's where I like to do this. So, this is the mysterious and magical rising card. Yes. Oh. Now this is a lot of prop work, and we just talked about doing a lot of skill-based stuff. This is the prop work. Your card has magically risen from the... Your magic. You've made the whole deck disappear, and now only your card is here? Whew. Your magic is too strong for me. And that's an ender. That's... because I can do it with a little bit of mentalism, where I say, hey, just imagine all of the other cards have disappeared, and now you're left with just a clear, see-through deck of cards, and that's a little bit of magic for you there. So we have talked. This usually happens a lot when I do the live practice. Is I will stick with card work a lot because that's what I spent a lot of time practicing. So I have some really nice skill-based card tricks that can be done with a regular deck of cards, and then I also have props that I can carry with me. This silk is a pocket square, so this can be in my pocket as a pretend little thing. I can do coin magic with it. I can do card magic with it. I can make it disappear completely. Can't really do it right now, but it's gone. Just kidding. It's that's a different technique. Anyway, and then of course I keep this in my back pocket, so that's something else entirely. What's this? This is actually great because it helps me. So practicing in front of two cameras, which what I like about this setup is I have a lot of problems with it, but it's two front-facing cameras. So the first problem with that is that there's no angles to worry about, so that doesn't really help. So if I had usually I'd have another camera set up next to me here so I can see this way, and then you would just reverse that for the other side, which I don't have space for because it's a wall. So basically that would be the mirror effect, which would allow me to know, like, if I'm holding the cards like this, then if I'm cutting, this hand blocks this way, but this way isn't really blocked. but obviously this hand is blocking that. So there's, for instance, I did a control where you have to be angle sensitive to a certain position, but I've controlled the card to the top. So this is one that, done correctly with some good misdirection, a good fan, and it controls it to the top. You can even do that face up. So the idea of talking about doing it to cameras, the other reason is I can focus on the left camera for my performance and communication, and I can focus on the right camera for the magic. So that's a face-up card. But again, the problem with not having the mirrors is that not having multiple angles is the problem. So yeah, when I was a kid, I don't know if I was doing this. Because I've been doing magic for about 8 years. Well, I can't say I've been doing magic. I've been interested in magic for about 8 years. And that is not all of that has been performance. It's not practicing all the way through. That's picking it up and putting it down. That's also doing other magic and focusing on the YouTube side of things, which is not always been there either. So I haven't been steadily practicing, but I do think having a mirror setup is something that I should look at, or at least get my setup back to where I have multiple angles to look at so that I can practice a lot of that. And again, because you don't really want to rely on misdirection, and not to say that incorrectly, like misdirection is very important, but you don't want to get to the point where you need misdirection in order to make all of your magic work. Because at some point you just have to get good at what you're doing. And the one part that I'm at is the performance side, because when I'm in the zone, which I feel like I've done some pretty decent stuff here, which I'm glad to see that I still have that I can still perform it to an adequate level, but I can still, let's say perform again is the wrong word, I can still do, very simply, I can still do a trick for somebody and it still looks good. But if I want to perform that and take it to the next level, I need to work on pattern and timing and pacing and all sorts of different things there. My appearance, everything. Because right now I'm doing a lot of stuff for coworkers when I'm at work. So that's not always 100%. And recently I went to a magic show, which I had stated at the beginning. But I went to a magic show and somebody had used the coin box, and so I really got interested in kind of practicing with it again. And there's a couple of other things that I really want to learn, because I have a couple of coin tricks that I was doing that I think brings us back to the card idea. It's kind of a lot of the same principles, which is being able to do a coin magic with and without a setup or gimmick or anything like that. So that's kind of where I want to go with that. I think, how long have we been on here? I don't know. My thing won't let me check. How long have I been on this live? Can you see that? It's been a while. Holy wowzers, it's been an hour. Been on here an hour, and I've taken up so much of that with with card magic. So I really appreciate you, Terry. Is there anything else that you want to talk about / hash over, or just kind of turn this into a back and forth instead of me doing what I'm doing? So I'm curious if there's anything else that you're interested in talking about, or where we want to go from here. Wrap it up in about 5-10 minutes. This was actually pretty good, so thank you for being here. I appreciate that. I gotta wait for the 20 seconds. See what's going on here. Oh, perfect. Thank you. No, just kidding. Absolutely great. Thank you, Terry. I can do this regularly. I know Discord does hangouts and stuff like that. So if you wanted to participate more, I gotta get back into it, and I gotta have that back and forth so I can, that criticism to help me move to the next level. So I will definitely be trying to do this at least once a week with different Magic stuff and bringing out cups and balls, because I got to get back into the cups and balls and SpongeBob Magic. That's my passion. But thank you, Terry. I got to do the ending thing. Goodbyes are hard. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for being here. I got to sign off. I got to always do my sign off. So here it is. Thank you, everybody. And remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we will absolutely see you in the next one.